Good afternoon, class. Today we'll briefly discuss about communication, since we already tackled it a little bit from our last meeting. When we say communication, it is the means of sending or receiving information or the process of imparting or exchanging information or news. We will watch this video and I'll discuss the first subtopic.
Si Ma Dominica ay matalik na kaibigan ni Moss simula nung elementary. Minsan nagpipikunan pero madalas nasasandalan nila ang isa't isa.
Hoy, ano yun? Ba't may balot?
Sabi mo, pilhan kita.
Sabi ko isang balot ng Milo. Stupid.
Yun yung sinabi mo.
By the way, thank you na lang ha. Thank you.
Anong thank you? May bayad yun.
Ano na naman? Ano, pagtatakpan na naman kita kay tita. Ha?
Oo, alam mo naman.
Nako.
Hindi ako kaya ganun type.
Baka sabihin
Mag-bike
ko
kami. Sa madaling araw kami lalabas. Mag-bike kami dyan. Punta kami sa Lalo. Ikaw na bala sa akin, no?
Oo na.
Thank you.
Ako na bahala kay tita.
Thank you.
The film is entitled We Both Need Each Other, so now we will tackle about components of communication based on the short film. The act of communicating involves verbal, nonverbal, and paraverbal components. The verbal component refers to the content of the message, the choice, and the arrangement of our words.
Ma'am, mahina daw po boses nyo. Hindi marinig.
Malakas na boses ko, kaninang umaga pa ako walang tigil sa lecture, lakasan nyo na lang. From the video, the verbal there is when Dominica messaged the mom of Moss to ask for permission that Moss will stay at her house for the video shooting. Effective verbal messages, number 1, are brief, succinct, and organized. Number 2, are free of jargon. This is what we need to always remember. Nonverbal is all about the body languages, expression, postures, and gestures. Dominica knew that Moss wanted something, that's why he easily complied on what she asked. A paraverbal component refers to how we say, what we say, the tone, pacing, and volume of our voices. Just how Dominica changes tone because she slightly got irritated on how Moss mistook the food that she want to eat. Okay, now. We will now move on to the phases and how miscommunication happens. Please take down notes. There will be a recitation later.
Once upon a time, there is a man named McCoy who fell in love with his friend named Emily.
Emily, can I talk to you? I have something to tell you.
Oh, hi, McCoy. What is it?
I know that we have been friends for many years, but I want you to know that my love towards you is not just a simple love for a friend. I don't know when it started, but that's all I felt towards you.
Oh no. How will I tell McCoy that I love him as a friend only? McCoy, I don't know what to say, but I love you as a friend only, and that's what I can offer. I appreciate your sincerity, and I'm sorry I cannot reciprocate your feelings. I am sorry, McCoy. I hope we can still be friends.
This time, we're going to discuss communication cycle based on simple cartoon story. To begin, we always start at the sender who has something to say to the receiver. This something now represents the third component of the cycle, which is the message or the idea being communicated. The sender's message in the cartoon is about his intimate love for his longtime best friend. The sender now converts his idea into words or actions, which leads us to the fourth component or the encoding process. In encoding process, the sender have a choice if he will use verbal or non-verbal to convey his message. He chooses verbal. Fifth component is the channel. The sender in the cartoon transmits out or sends out his message through speaking. In the case of the receiver, the channel being used or how he takes in the message is through hearing. The receiver gets the message. Sixth component is decoding. The receiver decodes or interprets the message based on the context. She tries to analyze what he means based on the content and the relationship, and she doesn't feel the same intimate love for the guy. She now then thinks of her response to the guy, which is now the feedback, and her feedback is to stay as friends only and not cross the line. Transmission phase is the phase where the sender decides on the information she or he wants to communicate. The feedback phase is initiated by the receiver to give his or her response to what the sender tells to her or him. While the last component of communication cycle is noise. In the last part of the cartoon, the guy was so hurt on the girl's response, that's why he only frowned and left. This kind of noise is emotional noise. The guy is so hurt that he could not process a new message again to give. And that's how the communication cycle could not continue and would lead to miscommunication.
First is the transmission phase. Process of communication takes place or begins with the speaker. Speaker is also known as the sender of the message or information. The message is simply thoughts or ideas conveyed by the speaker into words or actions. After that, the message is transported through a vehicle called a channel. Channel is used as a medium in transmitting ideas or thoughts, such as face-to-face conversation, video conferencing, telephone communication, mass media, and so on. Second is the feedback phase. The receiver decodes the message. Decoding means understanding and interpreting the encoded message given by the sender. Feedbacks are reactions, responses, or any information provided by the receiver. I think you understand the two phases. Next will be about how miscommunication works. O, diba mo pa raw yung babae? Okay, now, Francine Cal, what can you infer from the video?
According to the video I watched, during the play of the guy and the girl, the both players misunderstood each other because the guy can talk properly and the girl can't understand what he says, and it shows there that the miscommunication happened.
How about you, Miss Aberion? Please open your camera.
Ma'am, may netizen stable po.
Okay, answer now.
As what we've seen in the video, I can infer that there is a problem or misinterpretation between them because of the guy have a problem in speaking.
Both answers are correct, so I'll further explain this topic. Miscommunication often stems from a misalignment of explicit and implicit meaning between the sender and receiver. Some people are straightforward, others expect you to read between the lines. Here are some reasons for miscommunication. Number 1, you are saying too much and complicating the communication. This leads to more and more miscommunications. Number 2, using poor grammar. Number 3, you overthink what you are reading or writing. Number 4, you are using texting shortcuts and emojis as replacements to part of what you are saying. Number 5, you make too many assumptions. Prepare for a short quiz next meeting. Madali lang naman. Goodbye, class.
2 phases, components and miscommunication in one clip.
Can you please stop? We're going to fight again because of your way of thinking. I will drink because I want to. I'm busy playing. Gonna talk to you later.